I'm Serena Farrell.
This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbot.
I'd like to punch him in the face. It's incredible in, as we would say, tippy-top shape. Tippy-top.
Thanks, Donny. You're the best. Tom says, oh no, it's Remainer propaganda hour with that Abbot. Well, I think I'll probably squeeze more than an hour out of it, don't you? Tony says, Boris is a gift from God and Trump would have made a great Tony Soprano. A Tony Soprano?
Absolutely.
Oh, wrong one.
Absolutely.
There it is. One button away. Never mind, we'll edit this out later. Mick says, Nick, do you know the best way to surprise a burglar? Break into his house. Listeners with material this early. Meanwhile, on the Nigel Farage show...
I'm immensely grateful to you for everything you've done in British politics over the last few years. I used to be an ardent Remainer. I voted Remain. I believed in the European project. Mm-hmm. I believed that staying in the European Union was the best thing for us. And then something happened and something monumental happened. It completely changed my opinion on the whole situation.
What was that monumental thing, Mark?
I was kicked in the head by a horse.
Right, very good. Okay, fine. Thank you.
No, thank you. That was absolutely priceless. Almost fell off my chair. Did myself an injury. That's one of the funniest things I've ever seen. It's available on YouTube. It's up there on the internet. Have you seen the internet?
Disgusting.
Exactly. It's got all sorts of things up there, and that is one of them. I watched it 3 times. The timing was... I mean, Groucho Marx couldn't have performed it better than that. Hey, you remember the EU Commission President, Jean-Claude Juncker? No! Yes, that's him. Well, Jean-Claude Juncker went ape over Brexit. He expressed his feelings and the feelings of those on the continent by releasing a statement, which said, and I quote... Boris Johnson saying he wants a deal, that nothing would please him more than getting a deal, that he wants a deal with every fibre of his enormously round being, but the EU don't think he wants a deal. Gosh, who to believe? The Commission President insisted that he and Chief Negotiator Michel Barnier were doing all they could to get an agreement. And he said it will be all our fault if there's a deal-free Brexit. EU diplomats question whether Boris Johnson really wants to strike an agreement. Does anybody really think that he does? I mean, is anybody actually being drawn in by all that? The EU aren't. They don't think he really wants an agreement. They said a series of draft papers tabled by the UK about solutions for the Irish border had left them in despair. Well, I bet they were just blank. Well, here's some bits of paper. We'll fill them in when we can think of something. In despair they are. There's also the fact that Boris Johnson and his malevolent hench person, Dominic Cummings, delivered the draft papers while leaning on a wall like a stroppy teenager, flicking V signs at them. That was embarrassing. The evil, unelected European overlords also warned that concrete proposals must be tabled by the end of next week for there to be any chance of a deal emerging at the EU summit on October the 17th. Time's ticking on. There's none to lose. And Boris Johnson insisted that he's serious about striking a deal. But he did so while wearing his hair like a tornado had struck a wheat field and his shirt untucked and his jacket half off. It's hard to know which he resembles the most, the leader of a whole country or a children's birthday party clown. A law passed by MPs obliges him to request a perfectly reasonable extension. Seems reasonable to me. I mean, if you're not ready, you ask for an extension, right? What seems remarkable is that the EU would even contemplate giving us one. What for? What did we do with the last extension that we asked for and got? I'll tell you. We immediately said, thanks very much, we're going on holiday. And over the water, they just let their jaws sink to the floor at the nerve. It's amazing what's going on, isn't it? Can it please just stop? Boris Johnson insists that he's serious about striking a deal, but he doesn't look very serious. Doesn't look like a serious person. even when he's angry. By the way, are there any relatives, both alive and or dead, that agree with Boris Johnson? I mean, is there anybody in his entire family, in his entire elongated, etoliated family tree that actually agrees with him? A law passed by MPs obliges him to request this extension to the Brexit deadline. I'd be amazed if they give it to us. Why would they want to... I'm surprised they haven't chucked us out yet. Seems reasonable to me to ask for one, but seems unreasonable for them to give us one. Let's just make the pain go away, I would think, if I was in France. And I would think it in French. See what we play. Perfectly reasonable extension to the Brexit deadline if there's no deal sealed before October the 19th. That's what the law passed by MPs obliges Boris Johnson to request, a perfectly reasonable extension. Or, as it's written in the right-wing press, he will have to beg the EU for an unpatriotic, treasonous surrender extension if agreement hasn't been reached by October the 19th. Any moment now, the ERGist Marc Francois will pop up to tell us that he used to be in the army and he wasn't taught to surrender. But Bozo the Primo said that he would rather be dead in a ditch than break his vow that the UK will leave by Halloween. And the same digger that he promised to lie in front of if Heathrow were given an extra runway is being repurposed to start ditch digging with immediate effect. And Jean-Claude Juncker did an interview with a German newspaper, which is called Augsburger Allgemeiner. It's such a beautiful language, German, isn't it?
No.
He said, our chief negotiator, Michel Barnier, and I are doing everything possible to get an agreement. But if we don't succeed in the end, the responsibility will lie exclusively on the British side. It's all our fault. He said, Juncker said that negotiations on their future trade relationship with Britain and the EU would greatly be complicated by a disorderly Brexit. And that made me sit up and just, I know this, but it's handy to remind ourselves every now and again. This is supposed to be the easy part. The trade deal's the difficult bit, and that comes later.
Oh, no.
He said, we will want to and need to seal a free trade agreement, but that won't happen just like that, as some in Britain imagine. He said some of the trade deals were sealed in my term of office. It took many years to reach. Yeah, most trade deals take many years to reach. I mean, some take a decade or more. And that's a good thing to remember in amongst this comedy clown show that we've got going on over here. This is supposed to be the easy bit. The leaving part is easy. It's the trade deal that's hard. Good grief, we won't make it out alive. And the Commission spokesperson of the EU, a person called Mina, said, the technical discussions are taking place this week with the UK on some aspects of customs and sanitary and phytosanitary rules. And the next technical meeting is scheduled for tomorrow. Phytosanitary rules. Are they the ones about putting the toilet lid down before you flush? Someone left the toilet lid up and didn't even bother to flush. Who would you guess that would be?
Yeah. Wait a minute.
I bet he didn't wash his hands either. He doesn't look the type, does he? You can see him coming out the loo, his hands dripping and clasping you in a handshake that you're not quite sure where that moisture is from, the sink or somewhere else. In other news, the Prime Minister is facing the threat of a cabinet revolt. Absolutely everyone seems to hate his number 10 chief, Dominic Cummings, whose act seems to be based on being a malevolent, stroppy teenager. I don't know anything about him. His name only appeared flitting across my brow a couple of weeks ago. But previous to that, I'd never heard of him. But I've managed to dislike him almost instantly. I don't like his face, and I don't like his hairline. I don't like the way he leans on a wall when an MP is barracking him. Like a teddy boy. Kids are going to have to ask their parents what a teddy boy is. Have you got any idea what a teddy boy is?
What?
No, he's busy. He's busy shouting at people. Stop shouting at him. It's not his fault. He just answers the phones. Hey, do you know what a teddy boy is?
A teddy boy?
I'll assume that the answer is
No.
No, it's the extraordinary surprised tone in his voice. Got no idea. Isn't that shocking? You know, there's... hang on a minute. Here, have you heard Dark Side of the Moon?
I'm going to say yes.
But that's a no, though, isn't
No,
it?
I have heard Dark. I've got teddy...
Oh, my God. It's worse than I thought. All right, so he looked it up. The Teddy Boys or Teds were a mainly British subculture of young men wearing clothes partly inspired by the styles worn by dandies in the Edwardian period, which Savile Row tailors had attempted to reintroduce in Britain after the Second World War. Yeah, well, I suppose so. Kind of misses out the bit about the sharpened combs and, you know, the haircuts and all that. Never mind. Hey, the Tory conference next week might not happen. Well, or it might happen and people's attention will be elsewhere. That it might not be the triumphant jamboree that Boris had pictured when he took on his unelected position, because Parliament might be sitting and he won't get so much attention. And it was due to have the slogan, "Get Brexit Done," as though that's all the Tory party have got to offer, as though beyond that they got nothing. Well, except tax cuts for millionaires, of course. They'll always have that. And the whole lot of them are denying any responsibility for whipping up the nation with Donald Trump-like talk of traitors and surrenderers and capitulators about anyone they don't agree with. And one cabinet minister reportedly warned that failing to get Brexit through by the end of October would risk riots on the streets. They're threatening us with violence now. We're all going to die unless they get what they want. What's that?
People were refusing to believe that Farage thing happened.
It's so perfect. I'm going to play it frequently. The timing is absolute perfection. Whoever that caller was, you are a genius. It's on the internet. You can see the close-up of Nigel Farage's face when he realises he's been had. It is perfect. Don't believe me. It's on the net. This is not fake news. So we're all going to die unless they get what they want. It's called taking back democracy from a wholly elected and representative body of equals and giving it to a fabulously rich band of ultra-elitists who have somehow managed to persuade the poor and the left behind that they have their best interests at heart. Well, they're bound to. I mean, millionaires are well known for their generosity with those less fortunate. That's why they never cheat on their taxes. 0345 6060 973. You can text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. Friday and Saturday night at 10, Nick Abbott, LBC.
This is LBC. Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
What the hell is going on?
Hillary from Weymouth says, I would buy a Nick Abbott tea towel. No such thing is available. Phil says, this presenter is insultating towards people who actually know Boris will deliver Brexit. That is a lie, Phil. I am not insultating. With two N's and an extra AT. And Tom says, what do you make of Steve Allen's show merch? Steve Allen has merchandise. Steve Allen has merchandise.
So for...
Well, don't tell me. Is it multiple packs of pants slightly used?
No, it's a tea towel.
Is it?
It is. It for Globals Make Some Noise. He's got his own tea towel.
Right, and what does it look like?
It's quite scary.
Can you
It's
show me
got
a picture of it?
Yeah, I'll...
Excellent work. Already he's done tremendously well. Here's a call in Pimlico. Hello, Alex.
Good evening, Nick.
Alex.
I want to talk to you about language, and I've got something to say I spoke to your producer about a minute ago.
Yeah.
There's no swear words included, but they're words that aren't supposed to be mentioned in Parliament, and I've actually double-checked them on the old interweb as we spoke.
Well, there's plenty that's going on in Parliament that is not allowed, like applauding for a start. But anyway, go on.
Well, okay. Well, we've got a good old favourite with gutter snipe, which I think George Galloway used to use. You heard that one before?
I know. Oh, I've heard the phrase before.
stool pigeon, but not the chap who used to sing it with the coconuts, not Kid Creole. Yes.
Yeah.
Do you remember stool pigeon?
I remember Kid Creole and the Coconuts, one of the best gigs I ever
Yeah.
saw at the,
Yeah.
at
In a
the
galaxy far, far away.
Aylesbury Friars. That
Long
was
time
such
ago
a
then, Nick.
tremendous show. 1982. God, it was one of the best events I've ever seen in my life.
So stool pigeon, but not the song. Git, G-I-T, plain. You can't say that
Yeah.
one.
Where is this going, Alex?
I'm just here's a really
It's
interesting.
just a list of bad words.
No. There's just a couple more. Blatherskite. Have you heard of the word blatherskite?
Yes, I have.
Well, it's a person who talks at great length without making
Yeah,
much.
I'm thinking of you.
One more. Should we try one more? Here we are. Talking Twaddle.
Yeah.
Talking Twaddle, 1898. You can't say Talking Twaddle in the House of Commons chamber.
No, but you can say it on this show. All right, thanks a lot, mate. 0345 6060 973. So, and Steve Allen okayed that towel, did he?
Yeah.
All right.
There's some funny quotes on there.
I'll have to read them later. Let's have Woodford. Hello, John. What's it? Hang on a minute. Wait a minute, John. What's it made of?
I think cotton.
Cotton?
No, actually, no. What are tea towels normally made out
Well,
of?
they're normally made of cotton, but that is the incorrect fabric to make a tea towel out of.
Why?
Because it leaves... I'm glad you asked.
No.
It leaves lint. What's lint?
What's lint?
Reach into any pocket of your choosing, and what you'll find at the bottom there is lint. It's fabric. It's like the, bits off fabric.
I've got some lint, yeah.
Yeah, mostly in your belly button, no doubt. But no, it's supposed to be linen. Woodford, hello, John.
Hello, Nick.
But by the way, this Steve Allen tea towel is not something that you would want to wipe your plates with. You would want to keep it pristine and clean, I would imagine. You don't want it stained. You want to keep it in the packet that it came in. Don't use it as a tea towel. You want to just put it on display. You could frame it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that even when he's not on, he will be there with you always. Anyway, what's up, John?
Well, firstly, I want to say I do remember Teddy Boys. I remember the DA haircuts. I remember the long coats and the drain pipe trousers. Yeah. I do remember all that. But listen,
it's a pretty good look, actually. I mean, no teenage fad looked better since, I don't think. I mean, the mods were pretty smart, I suppose, you could say so. But the Teddy Boys had got a real sense of style about them.
If that's what you want to believe, that's good. But you're a bit of a young man, so you wouldn't really know what they really were about.
Well, I guess so. And I'm not talking about what they were about. I'm just talking about the way they looked.
Well, that's not what I rang about, anyway.
Righto. Go ahead.
Can I speak about what I rang about?
Oh, I wish you would.
Well, I believe that... I mean, I was a Remainer, but to be absolutely honest, let's be fair. Let's give the Leavers what they want. Because...
Why?
Well, I'll tell you why, if you give me this minute. If we don't... more than a minute, I hope. If we don't give the Leavers what they want, there may be anger.
Oh, so what? I will be able to throw them back the phrase that they've been tossing at us for the last 3 years. You lost, get over it.
Right. Well, imagine this, that in a few years' time, the Leavers might have to regret what they've said, and if we don't give them what they want now, there may well be anger on the streets and anger amongst people. I don't know, but the fact is, give them what they want, because if we don't, they'll turn around if they don't get it and say, if things don't turn out well, they'll say, see, we should have done what we wanted. Now, the point is, listen, I know you're laughing, but listen.
No, well, you're saying funny thing. I'm not laughing at you, I'm laughing with you.
Right. So the thing is, let them have what they want, because if they don't, and we get Remain, then it means that anything that goes wrong after that will be amplified by the fact that we said Remain is good, and everything that is bad after that will be amplified by the fact that we wanted to stay. Now,
But this sounds like woolly liberal parenting to me. You just give the child whatever it wants because it's screaming and crying and shouting. No, you slap its legs and tell it, you wait till I get you home.
Are you still listening to me?
Yes.
Right. The fact is, if we get Remain and it stays Remain and things do not turn out very well, then the Leavers will continuously after that say, we didn't get our way and that's why we're in the mess we are. And we will be in the mess because the world is...
but what do you... So we'll be able to say, no, we were right all along, but we'll still be in that mess.
Sorry, in what mess? When we're what?
Well, you're describing that we should give the 44% or whatever it is of the population, as it is now, who wants to leave the European Union. We should give them their way so that we can tell them, aha, we told you so.
No, because in a few years' time, we can't have them turning around and saying, we told you so. So it'd be best to just do that now and let them have the vote they had, even though it's only a million and so majority, but let them have that. Because in the end, it's all going to be a mess if we don't let them have it. So let's do it. Let's do that. Let's go into whatever happens in the future where we leave Europe and we do it on our own. Now, the point is, it will stop any anger. And I think... no, listen, I do believe that the Leavers...
I'm not sure about that, John.
I think the Leavers are a lot more angry if they don't get what they want.
Well, so what? There's a lot of people that are angry that they don't get what they want. The answer is not to just give them what they want in case they get angrier.
Well, because we want to be a stable country. We don't want this anger. So let them do what they want. And then, in a few years' time, we might be able to say, well, it didn't really work out. If we do it the other way around, they will always condemn us because we didn't do it, even if things get bad then.
Right. Well, I have to say, so what? I'll go back to the parenting analogy again. Are you the kind of parent that would allow your children to just do whatever they want because otherwise they might get angry?
Well, you're comparing children with the Leavers.
Well, we're comparing the psychology of human beings, and it seems to be an analogy to me, analogous to parenting. This sort of woolly liberal thinking about parenting that we mustn't restrict our child's horizons in any way, shape, or form. And if they happen to be bashing a hole in the side of your car, then you should let them do it because they're just expressing themselves.
Listen, Nick, you're obviously some sort of child psychologist, and I understand the way you're thinking. But in the end, let's do what is asked for, because that way, in a few years' time, we may be able to turn around and say, look, Leavers, we didn't get it right. Maybe we'll go back to Europe. Maybe we can't rely on what they hoped for. And they will see it. Well,
maybe you've accidentally come up on a solution to all of this. Let's just get out now without a deal at the earliest possible opportunity and then have another referendum afterwards on whether we'd like to go back in.
Well, I think that way, at least they would have learned in those few years, that the child would have learned that isn't the way, and you don't get your own way by screaming and shouting. And in fact, Mummy and Daddy were right. Maybe I was wrong. So I'm not trying to belittle the Leavers because they have their own agenda, and why don't we do that? And then
correct them later. Yeah, no, I get it.
If you don't do it now, we could well end up with a sort of
angry people.
Public angry people. And what do we want? I mean, I think if the Remainers don't get their own way, then there won't be that sort of anger.
Right.
Let's suffer.
You really think that once we leave the European Union that people are going to be happy and pleasant and nice to each other?
Look, we suffered world wars where in the end we actually won.
Yeah, but we may have done that, but we were all united fighting against a common foe. This is completely different. This is internecine warfare.
No, hang on. What do you mean a common foe?
The Nazis were a common foe. I mean, a few people were supporting the Nazis, right enough, but mostly they had a bad reputation in this country. I'm just putting it out there as a possibility. I'm not decrying Nazism, but I'm just saying that few people thought that they were nasty. That's all I'm saying. But for balance, they were just super people, and maybe they should have won. For balance, that's what I'm saying. Thanks a lot, John. I've got to go. 0345 6060 973. It's 10:30 on LBC. The news headlines with Serena Farrow.
In Britain's conversation, LBC with Nick Abbott.
A young, vibrant man.
Thanks, Donnie. You're the best. Trevor says, I voted Brexit, but after a coconut fell and hit me on the head, I now believe in the European superstate. Oh, I'm sorry, Trevor. You're way too late. Because on the Nigel Farage show...
I'm immensely grateful to you for everything you've done in British politics over the last few years. I used to be an ardent Remainer. I voted Remain. I believed in the European project. I believed that staying in the European Union was the best thing for us. And then something happened, and something monumental happened. It completely changed my opinion on the whole situation.
What was that monumental thing, Mark?
I was kicked in the head by a horse.
Right, very good. Okay, fine. Thank you.
I may play that every single hour from now until the rest of time. Bodmin, hello, Malcolm.
Hello, Nick. Nick, that was brilliant. Another really good one was when Femi Olafeo, whatever his name is, rang him up. And Femi put on an American accent and threw all his stats at him. Nick, I'm ringing you for 4 really quick reasons, right?
4?
I'll run through them. Nick, I'll be quick, right? The first one, Teddy Boys. You really tugged on my heartstrings. Teddy Boys, and I would say to your listeners, check out Freddie Starr and Adam Faith. And if anybody ever knew my father was a Teddy Boy. You think of Crombie-style jackets, you think of brothel creepers, and all the rest of it.
Luminous socks. I can remember as a kid watching a Teddy Boy walk across the playground. He was obviously supposed to be in class, but being a Teddy Boy, he was, he'd never be any good. And he was walking across the playground in February. Mist hung all around. You could barely see him through the mist, apart from his luminous pink socks.
Yeah. Nick, the most peaceful movement in popular culture and politics and everything else. Teddy Boys were the most beautiful people. They were.
Well, let's not get carried away, Malcolm. No, it was a teenage gang.
Well, yes, and like all gangs and cultures, they've got their downside. Nick, I woke up this morning thinking that Britain should ignore Dominic Cummings and go for Boris Johnson. Go for Boris by his or for his throat. But having seen Dominic Cummings on the news throughout the day, now I think forget the Boris Johnson and the whole of Britain should go for Dominic Cummings and cut the rot off at the source. It's
but you don't mean that. You don't mean that in a violent way. You're just talking metaphorically.
No. Yes, absolutely, yeah. Nick.
That guy rubs me up the wrong way. I don't know anything about him. I barely heard him say a word out loud, but he is... I just can't stand him. Yes.
Nick, me neither. I don't... what I do know about him, Nick, is that he is not a poor man, but the worst thing is he is a part owner through his family of a farm.
Well, okay, I'm not interested in detail. I just see him leaning against a wall as an MP was explaining to him how his family had been threatened because of the kind of language that's being used around this issue, and he just continued leaning against a wall like some malevolent teenager. That's all I needed to know.
Nick, him and his family apparently. And this is a small.
Yeah, like I said, Malcolm, I'm not really interested in all this detail because I don't know one way or the other. So this could all be fake news.
All right, but apparently his family and him.
You're just insisting on telling me this, aren't you? I'm insisting that I don't want to know.
I'll move on, Nick. I'm on leaving, right? Leaving or staying in Europe. There are people now saying, look, leaving Europe. Okay, let's go for a deal. I say no. If you're a Remainer, hold out for what you want. Hold out for common sense. remain.
Common
Hold out.
sense. I think
Hold out, for
that
God's
ship
sake, hold out.
sailed. Common sense, the SS Common Sense is gone over the horizon.
And Nick, my final point is this, right?
Yes.
Throughout the day, there were little snippets. A few hosts, they touched on university places.
Yeah.
And my thing about university places is, if I was really cynical, I would say, well, okay, 50% of 18-year-olds now go to university. Maybe we should cut that in half right now, and we should stop 25% of youngsters from going to universities. Make them do really good apprenticeships.
Yeah,
We
make
need
them do push-ups.
Factory fodder.
Or
Yeah,
something like that.
We need factory fodder, Nick, right? So let's,
No, we don't. That's the last thing we need. We certainly do not need factory fodder, Malcolm, because all factory jobs are about to be replaced by robots.
Affirmative.
Nick, let me make my point. The government would say, let's stop half of them are going to university. We need apprentices. We need people in high-quality apprenticeships where they'll be in factories, blah, blah, blah. My point is this, right? I think that all of those public school kids whose parents pay tens of thousands of pounds a year, they deserve the right to go to university. So we should cut off all these normal people who work up £50,000 of debt, right?
Yeah.
We should stop them taking out the debt
Right.
and going to university.
Okay, all
Stop it
normal
straight away.
people. Right. Okay, excellent work.
let's
Keep thinking,
get-
Malcolm, unless there's another
And let's
fifth
get-
point you want to make.
Nick, finally then.
Finally?
let's-
I thought the last one
let's
was
say-
finally.
Nick, let's save these quality university places for public school kids and foreign students who pay twice what the British people
Yeah,
pay
no
in
doubt.
universities. And let's have more of them. Let's have
Okay,
more
all
public
right, as long as you
school
don't say
kids.
anything controversial, Malcolm. Ordinary people, you've had it. That is true, though, by the way. Apparently, we've reached 50% of 18-year-olds going to university. Does anybody really think that that's a good idea?
No.
Or maybe I'm deluded. It never sounded like a good idea to me. The first time I heard it, I thought, no, that's not right. Maybe I'll talk about this in a minute, because it involves a certain person who's going to... Yeah, if you're not angry yet, you will be. Trevor says, I voted Brexit, but... Oh, no, I read that. And this one says, you have overdone the anti-Boris rhetoric. Can't listen to your biased drivel anymore. Oh, I bet you are listening. This says, producer, look up a picture of Shawaddy Waddy. Well, they were a sort of a cartoon comedy version of Teddy Boys. They were a bit too luminous. I mean, you could have luminous socks, but not luminous jackets. They mostly came in black-ish, I think, more or less. Shawaddy Waddy. This says, my name is Tony. I need to know what will be the point of you and your ilk when Boris delivers Brexit. And just so as you know, the word no is, my name is Tony and I need to know, N-O, and what is W-O-T. He probably is sitting there with an A level in English and a 2-1. 0345 6060 973. You can text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. I may be saying Tony Blair's name next.
Warning, warning. Here on LBC, Matt Fry, leading Britain's conversation. LBC with Nick Abbot.
This guy is sick. There's something wrong with this guy.
Jilly tweets, Nigel has referenced the clip, the one that I've been playing, a number of times with a chuckle, says Jilly, which is diametrically opposite to Snowflake Ramona's crying the eyes out at humbug, ha 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 ha, where's the emoji for belly laugh when you need it? Well, Jilly, are you 12? Because you certainly will need to put emojis on your messages. If not, then probably not. What are you talking about? Ramona's crying their eyes out at humbug? Well, it's a completely different issue, Jilly. And if Nigel Farage has referenced that clip a number of times himself with a chuckle, it's perhaps because other people have referenced it and asked him about it. I mean, he could hardly refer to it without a chuckle, being as how it was hilarious. This message says the tea towels are made from recycled cotton underpants. They are not. Mark says, ask your phone helper if he's ever seen The Wanderers, the movie. I've never seen The Wanderers, the movie. Which one's that? Is that the one where the cute pussycat and puppy dog get lost and then travel the entire width of America to get back home? I like that film. And Tony says, if I was spinning a disc, what tune would I play to sum up the mood of the nation? How about this one? Happiness, the greatest gift that I possess. I thank the Lord that I've been blessed with more than my share of HAPPY-ness. Is everybody happy?
No.
You bet your life we're not. Abingdon, hello, Dean.
Hello, Nick. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Good. It's just about Dominic Cummings on the radio this morning. I don't think I'm not naive, and I was quite shocked when he turned around and said if MPs don't want death threats and abuse, then vote for Brexit.
Yeah.
I thought that was absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, pretty poor, I thought.
And I think you can't get any lower than that, can you?
Well, you could try.
Well, you could try, yeah. And just one other thing. It was Two Cats and a Dog, The Incredible Journey.
The Incredible Journey. 2 cats and a dog. That sounds like a recipe for disaster.
Wait, 2 dogs and a cat.
Well, that sounds worse.
Wrong way round.
Did they live to tell the tale? Of course they did. It was a Disney movie.
Yeah, it was a Labrador, a Bulldog, and a Siamese cat.
Right. Okay,
just for reference.
Okay, good work. Thanks a lot, Dean. We're only interested in the facts on this show. Darren tweets, has the artwork been signed off yet? Still waiting for the September release of What's Your Problem with Nick and Carol? Update, please. Well, bad news. Oh, no. There's been a delay because, no, the artwork has not been signed off yet. And now we're told the end of October. What? I know I said it was going to be in September. We've got 10 episodes already done. They're ready to get released all over the world. But no, I'm told now it's the end of October. It's nothing to do with me. This was like that when I got here. Chris says Boris will prove to be the best Prime Minister this country has had in modern times. Well, I think you're quite right, Chris. Does anybody doubt that? The shortest lived Prime Minister in modern times, perhaps, or ever. Here's a call in Watford. Hello, Sean.
Hello there, Nick. You all right?
Good, thanks.
Yeah, no, I basically just wanted to say, I think Boris is a brilliant Prime Minister. I mean, at the end of the day, the man does what he says he's going to do for the British people. At the end of the day, you've got all of the Labour Party that everyone knows it's a fact that the vast majority of them, they're all Remainers anyway, right? But
well, you could say the same for the Tories.
The thing that annoys me, mate, is that 17.4 million people voted to come out of the EU.
Yes.
Now, do you know what I mean? For one, I personally think that, do you know what I mean? If the deal can't be reached, and just leave without a deal. So what? Who cares? Do you know what I mean? We get out. The Parliament's delivered what the people want. Everyone's happy, apart from the select few MPs that want to stay, want us to remain in the EU because.
And the majority of the people who live in this country want to remain in the EU. You don't forget that.
Yeah, of course. But the thing is, is that
I wasn't expecting you to agree with me. The majority of the people in this country want to remain in the EU.
Yeah, but the thing is, 17.4 million.
Oh my
people
God! Stop quoting that number at me. It's meaningless. 17.4 million people. So what? So 50 million people didn't vote to leave the EU.
Okay, but in the house, because you've got to realise, in the House of Commons, all they're doing is they're constantly just outing Johnson. It's like they're looking at him and they're just like, they just want him to be the scapegoat. They're just constantly going on at the man all the time, and all he's doing is trying to deliver what the people want. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, but we've already been over this, Sean. It's not what the people want. It's what a slight majority of the people voted for on one day in the dim, distant past.
Okay, Okay, but what I'm trying to say is, all I'm trying to say is, and I'm not trying to sit there and continuously quote you with, 17.4 million, like I said a minute ago. But all I'm trying to say is, mate, is that at the end of the day, a referendum happened, right? The referendum result was leave the EU. Simple as that. 3 years later, still, do you know what I mean? We still haven't left yet because they're just
because it's a parliamentary democracy, and the people that we've elected to act in our best interests don't think it's in our best interests. I mean, if we want a dictatorship, I'm sure that would be made available to us instantaneously. I mean, maybe Donald Trump could run this country too. But as it stands, it's a parliamentary democracy, which means that you don't just do whatever the people who are shouting the loudest want. You take look at the available options and you act on what you think is the best route, not just what the people in the back are screaming at you to do. But anyway, Sean, I sort of agree a bit with some of what you said, and I hope that that's helpful. I'm not making this up. Most of the people in this country want to remain in the EU. The majority of the people would vote to stay in if asked again, and that's been the case every week since the 2nd of March 2017. Every single poll since the 2nd of March 2017, and a significant number before that, all revealed that the real will of the people is to stay in. That's according to YouGov. But if you don't believe YouGov, on the 9th of September, the Kantar poll had Remain at 37 and Leave at 34. On the 7th of September, a Delta poll had Remain on 46 and Leave on 40. A day before, on the 6th of September, a panel-based poll had Remain on 52 and Leave on 45. A couple of days before that, on the 4th of September, a YouGov poll had Remain on 46 and Leave on 43. Now, I'm no maths wizard, but the Remain numbers are bigger than the Leave numbers. And the rest, by the way, in all cases, were the don't knows. They said, how can you not know after all this time? That is a mystery to me. After all this time, they still don't know. And a defiant Boris Johnson vowed that he would not be bullied into moderating his language, which is pretty which is pretty cute. I will not be bullied into not being a bully, he almost said. And just like that last but one fella said, Dominic Cummings has said that MPs facing abuse are bringing it on themselves, which is pretty... I don't know, it's fairly unforgivable, I think. We'll just add it to the list of things that he's done that are unforgivable, like leaning against a wall while an MP is explaining to him that his family has been threatened. I mean, he could have been smoking a fag and just flicked the butt at him. It wouldn't have been worse. Now, I'm not suggesting that that violence would have been appropriate, but you just wanted to sort of metaphorically give him a shake. Look at yourself, man. Like some sort of malevolent teenager leaning against a wall. Yeah, so? God, that was infuriating. So anyway, Boris Johnson's backing his man. And it seems it seems they've all taken a giant leaf out of the Donald Trump playbook. And yesterday, Boris Johnson pledged to keep using that term Surrender Act, which really rubs me up the wrong way. He said that people will feel very badly let down if the country does not leave the EU on October the 31st. Well, some people will. A small minority of the people will, because they've been promised that if we leave with no deal, then, God, everything will be absolutely tremendous. And then when we leave with no deal and it's not absolutely tremendous, then what? I'm curious to find out. I mean, wouldn't it be nice if this was just over? And then we could start with the no-no-no-no-nos. And Dominic Cummings said that MPs should not be surprised about the level of anger directed towards them following the repeated delays to Brexit. He said a lot of people in Parliament are more out of touch with the country now than they were in the summer of 2016. He says if you're a bunch of politicians and you say we're going to respect the result of a democratic vote, and then after you lose you say we don't want to respect that vote, what do you expect to happen? Well, the problem was not with the result of the vote. The problem was with giving us the vote in the first place. I mean, I know that 50% of young people are going to university, but does anybody actually believe that 50% of the population is mentally equipped for further education?
No.
Not me. I've met people. Have you met people? Not keen. People shouldn't be allowed to tie up their own shoelaces without supervision. Mr. Cummings said there was a very important distinction between robust political discussion and threats of violence, which he condemned, while making it sound like, to my ears, that he sort of doesn't. He said threats of violence are a completely different matter. Everyone should take those extremely seriously, he said, while sounding to my ears like he was saying you had it coming. And asked whether he believes MPs have themselves to blame for the abuse that they're receiving, Dominic Cummings said, that's the way you're putting it. I'm using my language, which sounds to me like he's saying the exact same thing. But, what do I know? I know nothing, which I think you will find is factually accurate. 034. Hey, I haven't mentioned Tony Blair yet, but I will. And that's a threat. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. Friday and Saturday night at 10. Nick Abbot, LBC.
Farrow.
This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbot.
Hello, boys.
Everything is going extremely well.
You bet your life it is. Joe says, Nick, you're so childish, go and get into your cot. Your English is appalling. Quotes, is our kids listening? End quote. You are an insulting, undemocratic Remainer. When I said, is our kids listening, Joe, it was a joke about 50% of 18-year-olds going to university. I thought that was obvious. Maybe not. It's my fault. I take full responsibility. Maybe this show is too complicated for you, Joe. Maybe you should be listening to something like, I don't know, is Jack and Ori still on? Steph says, hey Nick, Shawadi Wadi are the hardest band ever. They would get taunted and think nothing of jumping in the crowd, and not to crowd surf, but to set about the miscreant. Seriously, top live band to see if your listeners don't back that up. And furthermore, I am the Don of radio.
Absolutely.
And this says, we've only been taught one thing by this referendum. The British electorate should never have been entrusted with making a decision of such grave importance. Too many people simply lack common sense and the ability to scrutinise information and sense blatant lies. Wow. I'd say completely correct in every respect. And it's all David blooming Cameron's fault.
I think this is nonsense.
Yeah, well, we're still not missing you, Dave, but we know where to find you if we do. You'll be in the shed where they keep the tools. Here's a call in Oldbury, Ranjit.
Hi, mate. You okay?
Yes, good, thanks.
It's the first time I've spoken to you, so be gentle with me.
Okay, then.
Okay. Do you remember the Dick Emery show?
Yes.
So, yeah, where the father and the son were dressed in dungarees.
Vaguely, yeah.
Yeah, and the son would wipe his nose up into his hair and go, Dad, I've done it wrong again, yeah? Okay.
Please.
Now, the other day I was watching the news and I seen Donald Trump and Boris Johnson sitting there together, and that's what they reminded me of. And I think we should have a DNA test to see if Johnson's an offspring of Trump, yeah?
Well, they may actually be the same person. It's possible.
Yeah, you're going into the science fiction world. He might
I
be
suppose so, yeah. Could be one of them deep fake videos.
It could be, yeah. The thing is, everybody goes on about this 17.4 or whatever. If I can just tell you my position, I used to be a Remainer, but I don't know whether I'm coming or going, okay? The other thing is,
okay, so what changed your mind and why don't you know?
Because, okay, first off, when Nigel Farage was going on about his bid for us to leave out of Europe, all he was on about was immigration and the £350 million a week that was going. Nothing else was hardly mentioned. Nobody mentioned the Irish backstop or nothing
Well,
like that.
no, nobody thought about the Irish backstop. The first time we heard that phrase was after the referendum. Nobody even mentioned it before.
Yeah. So when people say you didn't know what you was going in for,
Yeah.
I think that clarifies me. If you ask every Joe Blog on the high street, how many points can you name about when you voted for Brexit? I think if they can name more than 5, I think you're
Well, I mean, I've been doing this for 3 years, and almost daily somebody will call me up and say, well, thank goodness that we're leaving the EU because of all those dreadful rules and regulations that we have to follow from our unelected European overlords. And I will always ask the same question, knowing the answer that I'm going to get. I will say, well, which law in particular are you most aggrieved about? And there will be a deathly pause, followed by the answer, all of them.
That's not an answer.
Meaning that they have got no clue.
Yeah, and then, okay, the one that really annoys me is when we went from imperial to metric. That's the only one that I can think of off the top of my head. But that doesn't really bother me.
Do you really want to multiply by 12? Ranjit, how many fingers have you got?
I've got 12. No, I haven't. I've got 10. I mean, we got 10. Okay, yeah, I know what you're saying. Okay, it's simple. It's simple mathematics.
Much better to multiply by 10 than by 12. I mean, you'd have to really remember your multiplication tables to remember how to multiply by 12, because 12 eighths are 63. But that's not something that is...
12 eighths is 63.
63, yeah. But that's not
you
something...
went to a good university then.
That's not something that you can remember off the top of your head unless it was drilled into you at school. 5 12s are 45. Any fool know that.
Well, I don't know. You've confused me now.
Oh, I just got one wrong. I just got one right by accident. By accident!
I don't know about that. the other thing about, the Dominic Cummings saying what he is, yeah? And this morning I was listening to LBC and they're saying they might be having some yellow jackets, of protest in this country. It would be a sad state of affairs if that happened, but isn't the miniature riots happening in the houses of parliament now with the way they're all talking to each other? Yeah? Because they are supposed to be leading us by example, and the example that the...
Well, this is not a new thing, though. I mean, it may have been ratcheted up a couple of decibels, but they've always been yelling and like drunkenly shouting at each other. But Prime Minister's questions, it's not Prime Minister's questions. It's like a clown show over there. And if we adults based our behaviour on how they behave at Prime Minister's questions, then we'd all be in jail now.
Well, I'm not allowed to speak over you, and just as much as you've got the fader there, you don't overspeak over me. And this Dominic Cummings, whatever he's saying, he's flanked by security. Boris Johnson's flanked by security. People like Jess Phillips, they walk around in your local supermarket, they are going to be targeted, to be honest with you, because I know my local MP, he goes round to the pub or whatever, and these people... these elite people, what they're saying and what they're doing, they're actually instigating this kind of violent behaviour.
Well, I don't know about violent behaviour, but they're instigating a certain unease in the air, yes. But they are also, as you described, insulated from the
society.
Yeah, from the consequences of, that rudery, but they're also insulated from the consequences of Brexit. They'll be just fine. Millionaires will not feel the pinch. They won't go to a supermarket and think, can I afford orange juice? They'll just have their butler buy it for them.
Yeah, I mean, little me now, that's what Boris Johnson is to Trump, isn't he? Because he's trying to be a dictator like Donald Trump is.
Britain Trump is what Donny calls him. Britain Trump.
Britain Trump.
Not even Britain's Trump, just Britain Trump.
Now this little boy that's imitating Donald Trump, Boris Johnson, he can't even fathom in how much trouble he's actually getting himself into. It's not about Brexit now, no more. It's about Boris Johnson and his ego. he's forgotten his belief in the country, in the people. He's just his own ego. He's going to have his ego massaged.
Well, I don't think that's new either. I mean, it may have been brought into sharper focus than we've experienced of late, because he was always just this clownish figure on the sidelines. Even when he was mayor, he was a clownish figure on the sidelines, just there for our amusement, really. And he's got away with it his entire life. That act has enabled him to get away with all of that bad behaviour his entire life, just by ruffling his hair and going, blah, 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 and, bringing up Greek gods and using Shakespearean language and all of that stuff that he does to ram his Etonian education down our throat. And he's been able to get away with it because his act is of being a rumpled teddy bear. But
Nick,
when you aspire to occupy the top job, then we're not impressed with your hairstyle anymore.
No, Nick. Okay, people with funny hairstyles. You've got Kim Jong in North Korea. You've got Donald Trump in America. I'm actually, my hair's quite thin at the top now, so I can probably wear a wig. Right?
But the difference between Boris Johnson and Kim Jong-un and Donald Trump is that Un's and Trump's hair is the product of hours of meticulous crafting. Whereas Boris Johnson unruffles or rather ruffles his hair in the mirror before leaving the house to make sure that he looks, unkempt.
It does, and I think he cuts it with a scissors like Wurzel Gummidge, doesn't he? Right. And the other thing is, what I don't understand.
It looks like he cuts it with a garden strimmer.
Are you young enough to remember Wurzel Gummidge?
Yes.
Okay. He probably gets up in the morning. Aunt Sally, which head shall I put on this morning? Shall I put the buffoon on, or shall I put the anti-European head, or shall I put my American Donald Trump head on? But the one thing that me and my friends can't understand, why are people like Trump and Boris Johnson so popular?
I'll give you the reason. Because they have identified a small minority of people who they say are responsible for all of us not getting on in life as we might have wished when we were younger. It's not your fault. It's not luck's fault. It's nothing to do with any of that. It's those persons' fault over there. Follow me and I will make everything right again. And it's a pretty attractive proposition if you are looking at a lifetime of misery and missed personal targets. Here, Ranjit, I've got to go, but thanks a lot, mate. 0345 6060 973. That argument works over and over again. Always has. Don't worry you've been left behind by life. It's got nothing to do with luck, and it's certainly got nothing to do with you. No, it's their fault. Trevor tweets, Germany and France now in recession, Spain going the same way. Yes, let's remain and share their suffering and supply more cash. Why can't you get it into your heads and accept the true path? Leave the true path. Well, you know what? If Germany and France are in recession and Spain is going the same way, then we're screwed, because those are the countries that buy most of our stuff. And America's going the same way as well. We're all going the same way. I mean, if Germany and France go into recession, then the rest of the world's going to get pulled down too. And we're doing really badly. By the way, worst performing currency in the world since, or major currency anyway. I mean, tiddlywinks may still be worth as much as they used to be, but try buying a chicken with a tiddlywink. Rob texts, I wish Boris would stop telling the EU we are surrendering. He should shut up with the loose talk. Yeah, loose lips sink ships. 0345 6060 973. You can text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, you're probably wasting your life.
This is LBC. Abbot on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Hello? Number, please. Trying to connect you. Sorry to keep you waiting.
Yes, very sorry to keep you waiting, but let me just read some texts and emails. Some of these are very helpful and positive emails. This says, we're all heading to hell in a handbag with this Brexit talk. That's emphasis on the G. Chris said, The fact is 52% of this country voted to leave. That is the majority. So we must leave with or without a deal for democracy to retain any credibility. Does democracy retain any credibility?
No.
No, I didn't think so. We shouldn't have been asked this question in the first place. That's the problem. It's also a parliamentary democracy, like I said before, and parliamentary democracy is not run by just whoever shouts the loudest. What's the point of employing someone to act in your best interests and then making the decisions yourself? You wouldn't employ a doctor and say, no, I don't want to take that pill. Have you got anything in green? You wouldn't be your own lawyer, because then you would have an idiot for a customer. Client would have been a better way of putting it, but never mind. Mr. Cynical tweets, Nick, the problem with leaving then joining back in the future is that, funnily enough, we actually have probably the best deal of all member states with the EU today. We'll never have that power, including not joining the EU, or the Euro rather, or Schengen, if we try to join back. You know what, I think with everything that's gone on, they wouldn't have us back. We could be outside knocking desperately on the door, waiting to come in, and they would turn the lights out and pretend that they were absent. And Miss says, evening, Nick, how do I get hold of a Steve Allen tea towel? I need something fabulous to polish my crystal ball with. Fantastic, ordering soon. Yeah, you could rub up your knickknacks with it. Seven Oaks, hello, Mark.
Hi. You mentioned about the EU not wanting us back. That's not what they told me. They said...
They? Who's they?
The people at Europe House in London. You can ring them up and ask them questions.
I will not.
But no, they said that policy is that they consider that the EU is good for the UK and the UK is good for the EU.
Yeah.
And any time during the negotiations, the negotiators, Michel Barnier, have been instructed to let us reverse things, basically.
Right.
So,
but that's
anyway.
different to leaving and then asking to come back in again.
Well, if we were, for example, with Theresa May's deal, we would leave and have a transition period. Well, we could go back in again during the transition period, or even after that if negotiations were still going on, and have our same deal as we have now.
Really? Who says that?
Somebody at Europe House.
Somebody?
I think he's called. I think his first name's Mark, but I can't remember. I can't remember his second name.
Mark on security. Yeah.
No, I think the security people.
So some guy called Mark said this,
and
that makes it a fact, right?
But I don't have it in my head.
Okay.
But what I really rang to ask you about is: do you think the Brexit mess is the fault of the people, not of the MPs?
Well, I think specifically it's the fault of one MP, the PM at the time, David Cameron. He asked us a stupid question in order to bring the Conservative Party together. How's that going, by the way?
Dreadful.
But the point I'm making is that the people have told Parliament to do something that is not necessarily possible. That's agree on a method of Brexit. And then they've chosen MPs that can't agree on it. So,
yeah, and people are rewriting history saying, well, what we wanted all along was to leave with no deal, which is such an asinine thing to say for various reasons, chief among which are that nobody mentioned no deal before the referendum. Nobody said we want to leave with no deal. We were all told that it was going to be the easiest deal in history. Nobody ever saw such a deal.
Yes, well, they've certainly been turning things on turning logic on its head. I mean, They don't want to have another vote on Brexit, and
the reason is because they know they'd lose. That Remain would win if there was another vote on Brexit.
Exactly, but the point is that by taking that attitude, they are the ones that are trying to frustrate the will of the people, and yet that's what they say other people are doing. That's what they say the Remainers are doing.
Yeah, well, don't try to unpick it, Mark, because that way leads to insanity.
Well, yes, it does. Somebody, I don't know whether it was, well, one of the leavers anyway was talking about if Remain won the referendum, there would be a popular uprising. Well, That's a lie. If there was an uprising, it wouldn't be a popular uprising. It would be an unpopular uprising because it would be the losers that would be doing the uprising.
Well, that's an interesting way to think about it. All right. Thanks a lot, Mark. 0345 6060 973. Andy says, you hypocritical Ramonas annoy me when you say, of course we will respect the referendum result, and then go on to say we can't have no deal, when, as losers, they should step aside, leave it to the Brexiteers, and we'd be out by now. But they don't want to leave at all, do you? Liars, says Andy, who's smashing his fury into his keyboard at home from his furious crimson world. Well, first of all, I've never said, of course we will respect the referendum result, because I don't respect the referendum result. The Leave side overspent by 10% and won by 2%. Coincidence?
No.
And then he says, we can't have no deal. Well, where did this we must have no deal come from? Because that's a recent phenomenon. Nobody said that we wanted no deal beforehand. We were promised a deal. Hell, Boris Johnson said there was an infinitesimally small chance that we wouldn't get a deal. And as for leave it to the Brexiteers and we'd be out by now, oh no, we wouldn't. They haven't. They had a perfectly good deal presented to them over and over and over again. Theresa May's deal. There was nothing wrong with it. There was certainly nothing that they have managed to improve on it since. And they said no, and they said no, and they said no. And furthermore...
No.
Yeah, Brexiteers said no, just like everybody else. We'd still be in this mess now, because there's Brexiteers who want a hard Brexit, and there's Brexiteers who want a soft Brexit, and there's Brexiteers who want a Brexit that is just right. Like Goldilocks. Here's calling Catford. Hello, Steve.
Hello, Nick. Yeah, firstly, Teddy Boys. I kind of, as I've been waiting, I've been pondering, really.
Really? That's way too much information, Steve. Keep your hands above the table, please.
Pondering. They've got to be the strangest, I think, the oddest kind of youth cult that we've had in this country. They're kind of almost wholly working class. There's no politics. There's no agenda with Teddy Boys. It's literally the style, which I think is great. Not that I could do it, but
it's a weird style because the music came from America. I mean, I know we had skiffle and all that, but rock and roll was really an American phenomenon, and they didn't dress like Teddy Boys over there. This was a completely British style statement, wasn't it?
Yes, it's a very odd thing, and they, as far as I know, apart from Shawaddy Waddy, who obviously ridiculous. I can't think of one.
Well, don't sit on the fence, Steve. Shawaddy Waddy. Any thoughts?
Well, I was little when they were out.
Yeah.
So,
you would think that it would be an expensive thing to kit yourself out in, all of that clobber. I mean, the shoes weren't cheap because, I mean, they had about a foot of rubber on the bottom of them, and, they ain't giving rubber away. And then those long draped coats, and they had bolo ties, didn't they? Which is an odd combo. They had cowboy leather strap ties. And then, of course, the hair,
Yeah, the hair was
all of that oil.
I know, but I can't think of one Teddy Boy band. Like the punk. Obviously, there's loads of punk bands. They had an agenda. Some of them
wasn't Sha Na Na a Teddy Boy band? I mean,
were they?
Sha Na Na. They played Woodstock. They were the first. They're the first band on, and by far the least appropriate outfit to play that event. People try to put it out of their mind that they were even there and concentrate on Crosby, Stills, Nash, Crosby, Stills and Nash. No Young, just Crosby, Stills and Nash.
He didn't turn up. Well, he did turn up.
Well, I don't think he was part of their outfit then, was he?
Yeah, he was, but he apparently didn't want his bit to be included. I don't know why, but really? But the Stray Cats, they wouldn't. They're not. That's rockabilly, isn't it?
Yeah.
The sort of distinction. But anyway, going back to the less important things, what happened in the House of Parliament the other day? Did you hear Geoffrey Cox? Jesus, I'm sorry to our religious listeners, but I've never heard anything like it. It was just insane.
He just
And it was
exploded. It was a human explosion right there on television.
I know. And what annoys me, what is annoying me now, is that they're trying to equivocate. They're trying to say that what people on the Labour benches did. Now, I don't support Jeremy Corbyn. I'm more of a Jeff Phillips or a Yvette Cooper type of wishy-washy liberal. But
you know, people on that subject, people say a lot about Jeremy Corbyn. Some of it's true and some of it isn't. But what is absolutely true is that the Labour Party should be so far ahead in the polls at this point. After 10 years of Conservative rule and all this mess that we're going through, talk about an open goal. Holy macaroni, what are you doing, Labour Party?
Yeah, it's not good. But what happened on whenever it was Wednesday was contemptible from Geoffrey Cox, from Boris Johnson, from a lot of the Tory party, really, and people, some commentators, some people on your blessed station are trying to say that the language used by Labour is equivocal.
Oh, yeah.
And it isn't.
It's just a tsunami of whatabouts. We did this, but what about this person, and what about that person? And 3 years ago, this person said that, and what about that? It's just a rainfall of whatabouts. Here, Steve, I'm going to have to go, but thanks for that. 0345 6060 973. You can text 84850, email nick@lbc.co.uk, and if you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. Friday and Saturday night at 10, Nick Abbott, LBC. Just past 11:30, the news headlines with Serena Farrow.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Listen to him. He knows everything.
Rosalind says, I am fed truly of... Maybe I am truly fed up, perhaps, of waiting for that bleeping podcast with Carol. She says the sounds you play aren't enough.
Oh, right, yeah.
She says I've been waiting forever.
Oh, right, yeah.
Says you are dreadful. You are basically like Trump, over-promising and under-delivering. Liar, she says.
What?
Yeah, I know I said it was going to come out in September, but it has nothing to do with me. This is beyond my control. Now it's going to be in October. We've done them already. Well, we've done 10 so far, and they're ready and waiting to go. But I think it's going to be October now. That is what I am told. Harry emails, you said leave one by 2%. It was 4%. Get it right, please. What, you want me to do research? All right, they won by 4% and overspent by 14%. This says, keep milking it, bud. Don't care, we will leave. Ha, you literally won't have an argument. You forgot to tell me you're not stupid. Reading, hello, Peter.
Hi there. Thanks for having me on.
Peter.
I just wanted to challenge one of your assumptions that the polls reflect that Remain will win currently.
Yes.
I think the polls before Brexit actually occurred predicted that Remain would win, and of course that didn't happen. The same occurred with the US election.
Yes.
So do you think you're slightly misrepresenting the power of polls?
Well, the reason that it didn't correctly predict the US election, by the way, I correctly predicted both of them, but, you know, that's an aside. But the reason it didn't predict the American election was because, of course, Donald Trump actually lost by millions of votes. Just like I think the last Republican president to win the popular vote and the presidency was George Bush Sr., because I think George W. got the presidency without winning as many votes as his competitor. They seem to have fixed it to the extent that even when they lose, they win, the Republicans.
Sure. Mind if I say my piece? Basically, I do acknowledge that. But the fact still remains that the pre-Brexit polls suggested that Remain would win. They did not.
But perhaps it was reflecting the will of the people rather than the will of the people who could actually be bothered to go and vote. See, there's a different. It's a different universe.
Well, that's quite an assumption to make.
Well, no,
people didn't go to vote.
Well, they didn't.
They couldn't be bothered.
Well, that's true.
And actually, that is a choice, by the way.
It's a
Choosing
what?
to not vote is a choice.
Yeah,
They're
I
saying
know,
they
but
don't
people,
care enough
a lot of
about the
people
issue.
didn't vote because they just assumed that we were going to stay. The amount of times I've heard that.
Well, I don't know if that's necessarily true. I'd also like to raise another point.
Well,
They
I'm
broke
telling you
down-
it's true.
Well, we'll have to see. There was another poll that was looking at or analysing why people voted Remain or Leave.
Mm.
And often Leave voters are misrepresented as sort of immigrant-hating, racist and ill-educated people. In fact, when you break down the analysis, this is a bugbear of mine, lots of people voted on the issue of sovereignty, including myself, that actually long-term, although there may be some economic damage for Brexit...
Well, there's already been economic damage. Already.
Yes, I don't doubt there will be. In fact,
There's already been enormous economic damage.
Sure, and I'm okay with that. My point is,
You are?
long term.
You're okay with
I am.
that?
Yes. Are you okay with losing national sovereignty?
Well, what do you mean by sovereignty? Can we just skip to the part where you say you don't like the rules and regulations that have been foisted upon us by our evil European overlords, and then I ask you which one in particular you're most aggrieved about, and you pause and then say all of them? Can we just skip to that part?
We can skip that part, actually. There's also a question of being in a cultural
sovereignty.
With Europe.
Well, what do you mean by sovereignty? You mean that we want to take back our democracy and give it to an unelected leader who answers to an unelected head of state and is overseen by an unelected upper house? Is that the sovereignty you're talking about?
Well, that's part of it, but there's also a sense of cultural union that we don't want to be in with Europe, I think, as well.
A cultural union? Like what?
Yes.
Well, a cultural union in that we don't like French people?
Not necessarily.
We're still fighting World War II?
But we have a very different history to a lot of European countries. But
what does that mean, we have a different history? In what way?
Also, it started off as a political, as a trade union, rather, has increasingly become a political union. So is it not fair to assume that that is going to only increase?
Is what going to increase?
Well, we're going to enter more and more of a political and cultural union with the rest of Europe.
But you're saying that like it would be a bad thing.
Well, some people do think it would be a bad thing.
Why? Why would they think that?
Well, I would say on the whole, Europe has a legal system less based on absolute morality. They tend to be a lot more left-leaning. I also suspect they have a lot of
on absolute. You think the right wing are more moral? Because I would suggest that the left would enact laws that are more in the interest of more of the people, and the right wing would enact laws that are more in the interest of those that have already won life's game.
Sure. I mean, the term right wing is a very heated term that has been misrepresented to people conflate it with racism. There are actual conservatives out there who don't hold.
But racism was not on my was not part of my thought process there. You brought that up, not me.
Yeah. What was your point originally? Sorry.
About.
Well, your last point.
I can't remember back that far, Peter. What were you saying?
Anyway, I guess my point is that I feel politically and culturally very separate from Europe.
But why? In what way are you different from somebody in France or Belgium or Spain? Like when you go there on holiday, do you think, God, these people are like aliens?
Yeah.
Culturally different. In what way?
I think that the English are a lot more reserved. We're a bit more...
Reserved? Have you seen what's been going on in Parliament these last few weeks? Reserved? Berserk, more like.
Come on, you can nitpick a little bit here, but
that's not nitpicking. Look at the state of this country. You think we're reserved? No, I think that is the reputation that we like to project to those abroad, and that's how people therefore see us. You know, we all wear top hats and carry a furled umbrella, and we have tea at 3. But that's not who we are. It's complete opposite of who we are.
I suppose what we are, we're about freedom under law, the rights of the individual. strong property rights, low taxation. That's what traditionally Britain's been about.
No, that's completely untrue. That's what the Conservative Party have been about. And all of the things that you've just said are helping those that have already won.
We are historically a conservative and Christian nation.
Oh, God, you're bringing religion into it. He's bringing religion into it. Warning! Okay, that's where I just back out the door, Peter. But bless you, my son. 0345 6060 973. You can text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. Hartlepool. Hello, Brendan.
Good evening.
Brendan.
Hey, tell you what. Yes. How are you?
Great, mate.
Good. I'm part of the 70% of our town that voted to leave. So are we all knuckle-dragging racists who hate foreigners and xenophobic, or what?
I don't know, Brendan. Are you?
Well, I'm not. I know I'm not. I know why I voted to leave, and I read the bits of paper that were sent to every household by that wonderful guy, Mr. Cameron, saying this will be a one-off vote. Whatever you decide, you underclass of people, we will enact that decision. Thinking full well he would win, and he didn't. He lost.
Yeah.
So, and then the, 2/3 of the MPs who were all Remainers in Parliament have decided that they know better than us.
What they do. I mean, that's what they're paid to do, know better than us.
No, they don't know. They don't know.
Of course they do. Why have an MP at all if you're going to make the decisions yourself? What's the point of that?
Miss Abbott knows more than I do.
Huh?
Miss Abbott, when she said they were going to employ 3,000, was it 3,000 more policemen at £1,000 a time? And she worked out,
So that's your argument that Diane Abbott once got her sums wrong. Therefore, all MPs are useless from that point on.
Oh, I didn't say that. I said the one.
Well, yeah, that was the implication. We must listen to no MPs because Diane Abbott once got a sum wrong. 0345 6060 973. What is the point? I mean, the fantastic expense of having 650 MPs with all the expenses and all the people that hang on around them and the vastly expensive building that they occupy and all of the rest of it. What's the point of all that if we're just going to do whatever Brendan in Hartlepool says? We could save a lot of money if we just get him on speed dial, and he can make all our decisions for us. It's just bizarre that people of his ilk are insisting on a parliamentary democracy, and, oh, by the way, we don't want Parliament to have a say. We'd much rather live in a dictatorship, it seems. And in times of trouble, when people have got it hard, there is an attraction for it, like a strongman dictatorship. Countries all over the world seem to be going that way a bit, including you-know-who.
I'm president. Can you believe it?
No, we're still stunned. 0345 6060 973. Friday and Saturday night at 10, Nick Abbott, LBC.
Here, Nick Abbott on LBC.
Now, I just wanted to really say that I love you. I respect you. There's nobody I respect more. You're going to do a fantastic job.
Thanks, Donny. Lucas in Twickenham says, at the last NATO meeting, Bolsonaro said to Donald Trump, I love you. He replied, nice to see you again. Trump is the alpha male of all of these bozos around the world. Bozos? Varun says, when will you video stream your show on Facebook like Nigel Farage? Well, hopefully never. It's complicated because I don't broadcast from the Starship Enterprise, which is our normal, very, very glamorous high-tech studio, which is downstairs. I think this is the only show that comes from here. Oh, Steve Allen does it the other way around. In other words, there's two studios with a big pane of glass between me and my glamorous assistant, and he's sitting in there where there's no controls, because I control everything. I am in control. So I'm doing 4 jobs all at once. I'm doing presenting, I'm doing producing, I'm doing technical operator, and I'm doing making my own tea. I'm like the Swiss Army knife of radio. And the upshot of that is that I'm sitting where the engineers normally sit, and nobody wants to see an engineer. That's absolutely true. So there's no cameras in here. So that's why you can't see me. But I can see you. Linda in Western-super-Mare says, may I change the topic of conversation a little bit to ask you if you've ever watched American Horror Story on Netflix? It will blow your mind, she says. It's absolutely brilliant, and I hope all of your listeners agree. I saw one. I can't remember which one it was. There was one where they all end up in a bunker, and everybody outside the bunker dies. It was okay. It was bizarre. I tell you what is really, really good is, and I'm kind of surprised about this, although the last episode did make me think it may be about to jump the shark in the same way that Bodyguard did. Remember Bodyguard, that show that everybody was banging on about last year on the BBC with, I don't know, some guy's name, I don't know. He was a police person, something like that. And it was great, and it was great, and it was great. And then the last episode or so, it was like, this has got weird. This is a silly program now. I hope that the capture hasn't gone that way, because up to now, it's been great. It's all about deep fake videos. Now, I mentioned this last week. If you haven't seen what I'm talking about, a deep fake video, then you must, well, there's no must about it. You can if you want. I ain't bothered. You can look it up on the World Wide Web. There's a video of a bloke who, he's an actor, and he appeared in that, what was also a very good program called Dave. He was a hitman who was taking an acting class with the Fonz, Arthur Fonzarelli, whose name I can't remember. But anyway, that guy. He was doing a chat show on American late night TV, and he was recounting a story of when he met Tom Cruise. People went over to his house when they were filming with him, and he was in the presence of Tom Cruise. And as he was telling this, he was imitating Tom Cruise a bit. And you look at it and you think, wow, did I just see that? Because some trickery, by some method, the video technician superimposed Tom Cruise's face, not all of it, but just a bit of it, so that you couldn't quite, did I just see that? It's very, very difficult to describe, but you've got to see it. It'll be like nothing you've ever seen. I was stunned. And it does mean that we can't believe even our own eyes now. But anyway, that's the premise of this thing called Captured. It's on the Beeb at the moment. Very, very good. Anyway, moving on. Belfast. Hello, Holly.
Hi,
Holly.
Nick. I've spoken to you a couple of times before. I'm a bit nervous.
Oh, yes.
All this girl I got talking to you. But thank you, by the way. My nana was out tonight, and it's taxi driver. Get home. Need to listen to Nick, so you
Well,
right
you're,
off my Friday and Saturday night, so
Right,
thank you.
I completely
Anyway.
understand. Yeah.
I know you do. I know Northern Ireland's a bit boring. It's a decrepit little island. Yeah, definitely. But it was the language Boris Johnson's using about talking about surrender.
Yeah.
And people, were talking about inflammatory language. And when I heard it, the first thing I thought was the connotations with Ian Paisley. And
Really, because I went straight to the
second.
Second World War, which there's a large percentage of this country still appears to be fighting.
Apparently so, but that would create more of a divide. Surrender, Catholic Protestants, and Remain, and Brexiteers.
Yeah, why can't people just get along?
Well, that would be the easy solution, but this is deliberate. The point is, no one thinks about Northern Ireland. We seem to be. It's quite embarrassing watching Nigel Dodge and those types up
Holly, you've got to be kidding me. Nobody thinks about Northern Ireland. It's pretty much everything, all we've been talking about for the last 2 years, 3 years.
Oh, the backstop.
Yes.
But what about, say, Ian Blackford stands up there for Scotland, does very well, in my opinion. And we've got Nigel Dawes.
Well, I don't know his work. I'm unfamiliar with his oeuvre, but I'll look it up later. Thanks a lot, Holly. 0345 6060 973. Let's see if we can squeeze one in. Bromley. Hello, Luke.
Hi, good evening.
Luke.
Yes. There are so many reasons to be part of Great Britain and to leave the EU, their political union.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, there's just too many. I mean,
well, name one.
What, laws?
No, I thought you said there was too many reasons.
There's too many reasons to leave Europe.
Okay, go on. Lay them on me, baby.
Getting rid of the child benefit for migrant workers? The fact that...
migrant workers give far more to the economy than they take out. So we would be shooting ourselves in the foot if we politely asked them to leave.
Okay. EU citizens, they can claim, even if the children aren't in the...
Yeah, I'll refer you to the answer I gave some moments ago.
Yeah. So they can claim even if the children aren't in the...
I refer you to the answer I gave some moments ago.
Okay, but
you lost that one, Luke. Go on to another one.
What, working time directive? Average person can't work any more than 48 hours. That's restricting people from working.
Well, the reason that came in is to prevent people from falling asleep at the wheel of a lorry and ploughing into oncoming traffic. I mean, I'm assuming that you would prefer to be able to survive your drive home.
Well, we all like safety. What about the diabetic?
What, like safety? What about the what now?
The EU stipulate that they have to make it very difficult for anyone who's on insulin to get a license.
To get a license?
Yeah.
To do what?
Well, if you're on regular insulin, the EU rule says that they have to make it very difficult to issue a license to drivers.
Oh, to drive. Right. Well, what happens if you have an insulin? I mean, I don't really know what living with insulin is like, but is it possible that you would have a blackout and drive onto the pavement?
Well, that's one of 27,000 rules that have been.
Each one sounds perfectly reasonable to me. Think of an unreasonable one.
What about the fact that only 8% of the whole of the EU Parliament is non-white? Does that show that equality to you?
Is non-white? Well, that's probably an accurate reflection of the demographic makeup of Europe.
Well,
it's a fairly accurate reflection of the demographic makeup of this country.
I think being Great Britain, and you know what, being able to say what we want when we want, including that we are a Christian nation, I think freedom of speech is important. Unlike what
and you don't think that the European Union is for freedom of speech?
Well, you're not, because you turned the other guy off earlier.
I'm running a show here, Luke. I can't just allow people to come on and speak until they run out of breath. Freedom of speech. You want this show to be more free for people to call up and disagree with me? I sit here for 3 hours a day, twice a week, being yelled at by people calling me a moron. You didn't get more free speech than this. Oh, and you're welcome, by the way.
Thank you. This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbot.
Hello. What's he got to be depressed about?
Saudi Arabia is going to open itself up to tourism. Wow, I can't wait not to go. Why would anybody fly over Italy to go there? Or anywhere? Lucas in Twickenham says, oh no, I read that. Pam says, Henry Winkler, the Fonz. That's right. I think, isn't it true, maybe it's just one of these urban myths, but isn't it true that that clip at the beginning of Happy Days where he goes to a mirror and he gets out his comb to do his hair and then realises that his hair is perfect and he goes, hey, isn't that how he won or rather got that part? I think he came on and did that in the test. What do they call that? When an actor goes in?
Audition.
Audition is the right answer. I think that was his audition. You just went up to a mirror and got the comb out and said, hey, hair's perfect already. Everybody wanted to be the Fonz back in the, whenever it was on. When was it on? 70s? 80s? 70s? I know I did, and you did too. Jackie says Leave did not win by 4%. To win, one side had to achieve more than 50%. Leave just got just under 52%, so they won by 2%. Oh, let's not get bogged down with maths, please. James says, for the benefit of one of your moronic callers... For the benefit of one of your moronic callers, people can opt out of the working time directive and work more than 48 hours per week, says James. I knew that guy had nothing when he called in. It was just I've had that conversation so many times. It amazes people. It amazes me that people will be on hold in high indignation in order to make that exact same point, but not even in the time that they're on hold looking up something on the internet that they can object to. They just have this vague idea that we're under the thumb and we have to do all of these unconstitutional, undemocratic things that are being foisted on us by our evil, unelected European overlords. And when it comes to it, they stay and they are, and they've got nothing. Let's see what this one's like. Shepherd's Bush. Hello, Charlie.
Oh, hello. Good evening, Nick.
Charlie.
How are you?
Good, thanks.
Right. So I just wanted to say, and I don't think this point gets made pretty much ever, really, that, okay, I didn't vote for Leave. I voted for Remain. If I had a second referendum, I would vote Remain again. But for anyone who voted Leave, I mean, there's a lot of stuff about, people who voted Leave, they didn't know what they voted for. I mean, I think that people who voted Leave generally knew exactly what they voted for, and I don't think that they were racist or any of the sort of, obligatory stereotypes that get, perpetrated throughout the media. But I do think, and I think this is probably true for those who voted Remain as well, they didn't know what they were going to get.
Exactly.
And you look at what...
No, I don't think it's true for Remain. No, it was the opposite of that. I assert that the people who voted Leave did not know what they were voting for because they had nothing to base the consequence on. Whereas, hang on a minute. They may have known why they voted because they've been left behind and they were promised sunny uplands and more money and a better life and all of the rest of it. But the only people that knew what they were voting for were the Remainers because they already had experienced what it was that they were voting for.
Yeah, voting for the status quo.
Exactly.
That's why I would again vote for Remain, I think, because I quite liked how this country was going before 2016. And, having...
Well, there'd be... Charlie, just from your accent, there would probably be a lot of people that would be saying, or shouting at the radio right now, well, yeah, all right for you, you're doing all right. But it's the people who weren't doing all right that voted to Leave, by and large. And it's completely understandable. If you are persuaded that your life will get better if you do this one thing, vote out... then, it's like a roll of the dice. Why not? It's not working out for me as it is, so why not change it up?
Yeah, but then I suppose whether it's worth sort of asking again to anyone who voted Leave beforehand, do you still think your life is going to get better? I mean, I've just looked up the last caller mentioned, the EU restrictions on driving.
Yeah.
And basically the EU restrictions on driving, first of all, they overturned something that the DVLA had previously banned. So in a way, they actually loosened the restrictions the UK government had already put in place. And then on top of them, the EU guidelines seem to be eminently sensible. I can't see the UK government overturning them. If you've had 2 episodes of severe low blood sugar requiring assistance, then you probably shouldn't be behind the wheel of a car.
I think that half of the people on the road shouldn't be behind the wheel of a car. I think the more restrictions on people driving, the better. Yes. Well, I mean, I think as soon as people start increasing the restrictions on driving, I'm probably going to lose my licence because I'm not terribly good. Excellent. Then I shall look forward to that date, Charlie. In the meantime, I'll just swerve Shepherd's Bush.
Okay.
All right, thanks a lot. 0345 6060 973. You know, one of the reasons that I voted Remain was that I don't trust this government. Not this particular government necessarily, all British governments. I don't think they necessarily have our best interests at heart. Whereas it was more likely, in my estimation, that a rainbow coalition of disparate voices would, if they all got together, have the interests of the many at heart more than the interests of a vanishingly few number of people that would benefit from a tax cut for millionaires, for instance. I just thought that a British government needed to be damn it, what's the word? Overseen. They needed constant. Oh, why does this happen to me? Every show, there's one word that I just can't pluck out of the air. Constant supervision is what I was going for. Simon says, just to be awkward, I never wanted to be the Fonz. Oh, yes, you did, Simon. Well, who did you want to be? Ralph Mouth? Richie and Sutton says, I am way cooler than the Fonz. Well, that's obviously not true. And Phil tweets, I assume sarcastically, your Fonzie impression was so good I thought he was in the room. Rude. And Anton says, migrant workers just provide cheap labour. Nothing good about it. If you think people sleeping 10 to a room so that they can drive down the wages of British workers is a good thing, then no wonder you want us to stay in the EU. Well, that's just a ridiculous thing to say, Anton. You might be able to, if you really tried, find 10 people sleeping in a room, but that does not characterise all people who come here. And we do need extra labour, as anybody who has tried to find a builder lately will attest. As anybody who's been to hospital will tell you, how many people with a British accent were you treated by in hospital? I'll guess 0. And you could say the same for restaurants and bars and hotels and all of the rest of it, all of that services industry that we rely on so much. All of those jobs, cleaning offices at night, being security, all of those things that we are dependent on, cleaning up after us in general. We don't want to do those jobs. And we're not lying about just availing ourselves of the excellent benefits system in this country, putting our feet up and smoking a cigar and watching whatever the hell's on TV during the day now. Because there's no giant pool of the unemployed, the long-term unemployed in this country. They don't exist. We've got what economists call full employment. And that means that the people who've come here are being used to their fullest extent. Migrant workers just provide cheap labour, says Anton, who is in receipt of the benefits of that labour. And you can see it in the relatively cheap prices of food these days. I mean, how much do you think somebody gets paid to bend over in a field all day and pull tubers out the ground? If you actually wanted to pay them a decent whack, then the price of food in the supermarket would go up. And then you'd be complaining. Then I'd be saying, stop whining. Randall tweets, I'm really enjoying the show tonight, but the excuses as that's what I hear they are about. Does this make sense?
I thought it did.
Shall I just read it as it's written?
No.
He says, I'm really... but the excuses as that's what I hear they are about, why the UK is better off out of the EU, seem to be somewhat bizarre. These people are trying so hard to give good reasons, but I can't believe they truly believe their statements. It is unbelievable. Belvedere. Hello, Mark.
Hello, mate. How you going? Good morning to you,
Good,
Nick.
thanks.
Listen, to help you last caller out, leading up to the referendum, there was no actual facts for you to build an opinion either way. There was no actual facts. All that it was the economy might go down, the power might go down. There was no actual facts to say what would happen either way.
I'll let you have your say, but I have to disagree with you about one side. There were all of the facts at your disposal for Remain, because that's what we have had. So they knew what it was like to Remain. It's the people who voted Leave who didn't know what was going to happen next.
But the thing is, no, I mean, I'm an ardent Remainer, Nick, so I can hear what you're saying. The thing is, when there's a referendum, the people with the march in their feet, the people that were walking to the box to put the tick in the box to leave, they had a chance to get what they wanted. They had a reason to go to the box and vote. The guy on the street that was happy with the status quo, was happy was in Europe, he didn't have that drive, that energy, that why do you want to go and vote for the same? The margin, I think, was under 100 million people. But now we've come to this stage now. Going back to your point earlier about a record for the Brexit, it's the Hotel California by the Eagles. You can check out You Can Never Leave. This is the song you're looking for. But my main point of this, Nicola Sturgeon has now given her backing to Corbyn that she will support a motion of no confidence against the government. Why doesn't the Liberals step in as well to make it a big? Because you could have it's like Corbyn would be the part-time Prime Minister. He won't be making nothing presidential, nothing prime ministerial. It'll be like your mate looking after your garage. He's not going to sell you things in your garage. He's looking after it until you come back. This is somewhere we need to unite, because we are not a united kingdom. We're a divided kingdom.
Yeah, but let's not kid ourselves. We were always divided. It's just that now it's become vividly apparent.
More profound, exactly. I never thought I'd want to hear Tony Blair, John Major and Heseltine speak so much. They speak so much wisdom.
I think over the last month, the only person that I've heard give a speech where I agreed with pretty much everything that he said, and I thought, wow, that's actually really impressive, was Tony Blair.
Yeah, I agree. But the thing is, Nick, you're never going to resolve this Brexit because there's one Remain. That's it, one Remain, but there's 15 different Brexits. You will never get a guy that wants a soft Brexit to agree with the MOG, the Rees-Mogg thing, that wants to basically build build a brick wall at Dover and never even see Europe.
This whole
Brexit, medium, you're never going to resolve it with the Brexit. I can't say that word that ends in EERS. I can't stand the word. You're never going to resolve these people.
Just drop one of the E's. It'll tumble off the tongue better. Not Brexiteers, Brexiters.
And the thing is, Nick, you need to understand you will never convince somebody that's voted Brexit, no matter how many facts you put down their neck, you'll never get them to see sense.
It's like trying to get somebody who's just bought a lottery ticket to see sense. You're not going to win. It's vanishingly unlikely that you are going to win, but it doesn't. You can say that until you're blue in the face. It won't stop them hoping.
James O'Brien this afternoon, at a call this afternoon, the guy gave 3 facts why he voted Brexit. James O'Brien blew up all 3 facts. The 3 facts that O'Brien threw at him were plain simple. The guy went, but I'm still leaving. You're never going to get through to these people ever. But you want to see what we're looking like in Europe. My best friend Claudio is German. They are absolutely laughing at us. We've made ourselves a laughing stock. We've got a loaded gun. We've blown off the left foot, and now we're going to blow off the right foot. All because we say we're better off. This independence is fantastic. We're an absolute laughing stock.
Well, if it wasn't for you know who, we would be the laughing stock of the world.
I'm president. Can you believe it?
So thank goodness for Donald Trump. That's probably the only time I'll ever say that sentence out loud in public. All right, thanks a lot, Mark. Oh, by the way, you got the song wrong. It's not Hotel California. It is Joe Walsh. But it's the song to sum up where we are right now is from Life's Been Good. It's hard to leave when you can't find the door.
Rock and roll!
LBC. Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Well, let's get back to it.
Omar in Rebecca in Manchester. What? Have I just said something rude?
Oh, Omar and Rebecca is Manchester.
Oh! Phew. Omar and Rebecca in Manchester says, does anyone else still remember strong and stable leadership Yeah, I do that. I do, yeah. Strong and stable leadership. This says, we can't get along because the remaining part of the referendum refused to admit defeat. Oh, God. It's all the language of the Second World War, isn't it? The surrender bill. God. Daz says, yeah, it's like people still talk in this country like the Second World War was the only thing we ever won, or the last thing we ever won. And apart from 1966, that's about right. Daz says, status quo, have you not heard a Mr. Verhofstadt's dream of an EU empire? No Remainer had a clue what they voted for either. Yeah, they did. Of course they did. They were voting for what they already had. It's Leavers who didn't know what they were voting for, by definition, because we didn't have it yet. Daniel says, serious question, do you think Blackburn Rovers will finish in the top 6 this season? I'm glad you asked me that. You know, about the only thing that you can turn on and just let your mind wander downstream is sport. Thank goodness for sport, eh?
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Surbiton, hello, Harry.
Oh, hi. I'm first-time caller, sir, so please forgive me.
Okay.
I was just wondering if the advisor to Mr. Johnson, who promoted violence, in my opinion, by saying that the people who are MPs who are not voting for Brexit ought to be attacked or should be expected attack.
Well, he didn't say that. He said, are you surprised, more or less, that you're
Well, he
people are
implied,
upset?
by implication, in my opinion, he's encouraging these people to attack people who are against Brexit. This is not right, is it?
Well, I object to his very presence. I mean, we have an unelected Prime Minister, but it's worse than that. We have a wholly unelected person who is apparently running this country now.
But may I ask you some more questions, sir?
Yes,
Just one more
of
thing.
course you can.
Think about a person who has been possibly terminated his employment because he lied. Think about a person who has mismanaged economy. Think about a person who is shouting and does not speak good language. Would you ever consider him to be your Prime Minister?
Absolutely not.
Here we go.
Fortunately, no such person will ever accede to the top job. Few, eh? All right, thanks a lot, Harry. 0345 6060 973. Laurie says, at least us Brexiters have given you the last 3 years of material for your show. What else would you be talking about? Good point, Laurie. This show makes itself. Yeah, but on that, Dominic Cummings said that it's not surprising that some voters are angry after MPs revealed they had been targeted with abuse and death threats. Cummings said that the only way to stop MPs being threatened was if politicians respect the result of the EU referendum. REPCSCT. As Retha used to sing. RECPTES. Yeah, that's right. If we just respect the result of the referendum, everything is going to be peace and harmony. And if you believe that, I've got a house in the Bahamas I'd like to sell you. Little damage. It's a fixer-upper. All of the people that voted out are going to be satisfied for the rest of their lives. Even if the Disney World future that they've been promised is just some litter-strewn, broken-down fairground. Because we'll have left. Even if all the guarantees of a better life don't come to pass, all we'll hear is the satisfied chirrup of contented birds after Brexit. There'll be so much happiness, you'll be asking for it to stop. Who's he kidding? That we'll leave and everyone will be happy and harmony will be restored. Yeah, right. Right. And they keep talking like they're in a black and white film about the Second World War. Boris Johnson keeps describing attempts to block no deal as the Surrender Act, which sounds pretty inflammatory to me. It sounds like if you don't get behind him and support his negotiation tactics of threatening to kill us all if he doesn't get what he wants, then you're a traitor and a coward. And you know what they used to do to those, don't you? And a Labour MP complained that his language risked provoking attacks, and Boris Johnson said humbug. Isn't that absolutely perfectly Boris? Dredging up some arcane phrase that reminds everyone about his expensive education. He never lets an opportunity pass to underline that he went to Eton. As though it's the single most impressive thing that he's ever done.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
And Labour leader Joseph Corbyn said that the PM's language was encouraging people to behave in a disgraceful and abusive way. Well, the people don't need no encouragement to behave in a disgraceful and abusive way. Disgraceful and abusive is our default position. And then Bozo turned it up to 11 by saying that the best way to honour murdered Remain supporting MP Joe Cox was to get Brexit done. He actually said that out loud.
Oh, no.
Yeah. The best way to honour a murdered MP is to use the kind of language that encourages abuse and to get Brexit done, which she was against. The Liberal Democrat leader Jo Swinson, from that party that's having a moment, had to leave cross-party talks early so she could speak to police about a threat made to one of her own children. Labour MP Jess Phillips disclosed that a man had been arrested while trying to smash the windows and kick the door in of a constituency office while yelling fascist. And that person may have forgotten to tell us that he's not stupid. And in contrast, number 10 henchperson Dominic Cummings painted a picture of calm at Downing Street. Despite everything that's gone on about Johnson's multiple Commons defeats, him losing 21 of his MPs and any chance of a majority, and the Supreme Court ruling against him. You know, I've still got that nice lady's spangly spider in my eyes. Couldn't take my eyes off it. Why did she wear that? I mean, really, it was the only thing on the screen that I could focus on. That spangly spider that looked like it was launching an attack up her front. So, according to Dominic Cummings, all is calm in number 10 Downing Street. Yeah, I bet. And what are they all on? Xanax.
Groovy.
He said, this is a walk in the park compared to the referendum. We're enjoying this. We're going to leave and we're going to win, he says. Huh. Well, tell us, Dominic, which part of all this seems like success to you? Because I'm keen to find out. And you saw that on the video on the World Wide Wait, right? Carl Turner, Shadow Transport Minister, made a beeline for Cummings in Parliament, and he was lounging against a wall like some malevolent teenager. And Dominic Cummings didn't shift. He just leant against the wall, giving his best, slouch. And he's the same fellow that's been accused of encouraging a people versus Parliament strategy to push Brexit through. Anyone who doesn't do what they say is a traitor, an enemy of the people. I was really surprised this week that maybe they did and I missed it, but I was kind of surprised that the newspapers didn't dust off that enemy of the people headline and put a picture of that nice lady with a spangly spider on her right on the front. Carl Turner, the MP for Leave voting Kingston upon Hull in Yorkshire, confronted Dominic Cummings in Portcullis House. He said about death threats overnight, should be dead. To which Cummings, leaning on a wall like the world's oldest juvenile delinquent, said, get Brexit done. Because that's what's going to improve the lives of the poor people of Hull, placing their trust in the goodness of heart of a small group of elitist toffs who've never shown the slightest interest in them before. Still, fingers crossed. I'm sure it'll all work out fine. 0345 6060 973, Friday and Saturday night at 10, Nick Abbot, LBC. The news headlines at just past 12:30 with Serena Farrow.
Boris. This is LBC with Nick Abbot.
Okie dokie.
This says, Simon says, a vital component of democracy is losers' consent. When I voted Labour in the 1980s, Thatcher won, and though I hated the very bad word, because she was demolishing my northern community. I acknowledged my side, Labour, had lost. Remain voters must accept they lost, or they will have long, unhappy lives outside the EU. Really? Do they have to be long? He says, I feel terribly sorry for them if they don't have more important things in their life other than the EU. Go to the pub, get some friends, start a family, but the EU is not the be-all and end-all. It will be gone altogether in 10 years, so move on. Well, that's just a silly thing to say. The EU will be gone in 10 years. Based on what? So let's just skip that part and come to the implication that those who want to remain are obsessed about the EU. That's the opposite of the truth. It's the people who want to leave that are obsessed about the EU, which is why they won that referendum. Because a much higher percentage of those people that wanted to leave went out to vote. It's like somebody was saying, somebody called up this show and made this point earlier on. It's less likely that you will get up out of your bed and walk the 6 yards down to the polling booth if you're going to vote for the status quo, because you've got that already. You're not exercised to change things, so you're less likely to go out and vote. That's why Leave won, because it was the most important thing to the people beyond any other issue that they were thinking of. Nothing was more important to the Leave side than to get out, because that was the key to a better life. So they were promised. But the Remain people, well, they had what they wanted already. They couldn't be bothered. And the amount of people that I've taken calls from in the last 3 years that said, I didn't vote because I didn't think we were going to lose. Yeah, well, now you know. As a précis of that last message, this one says, we can't get along because the remaining part of the referendum refused to admit defeat. Well, I don't think you've quite got that. It's not quite right. It's not they can't admit defeat in the referendum. It's that they can't countenance the damage that would be done to the country if we leave with no deal. Because you have to remember, this is the beginning of our new relationship with the European Union. And we really do want to sell them all of our stuff that we're selling them at the moment. Otherwise, where's it going to go? And we want them to sell us their stuff. And we really don't want to put very many taxes on any of the trade that comes back and forth. You know, we want to kind of recreate the same economic relationship that we have now, but without any of what some people think of as the bad stuff. You know, having to agree with other people about the best way forward, which I think is probably the best way to run a country, is to agree with your neighbours about the best way for the benefit of all to proceed. So it's not that the remaining part of the referendum refused to admit defeat in that referendum. It's they refused to countenance the damage that will be done to their own country by just saying, but by just agreeing with some very smart people with a lot of money who have bet against our economy while also trying to negotiate its demise, which is actually what's happened. It's frightening, actually, and they're doing it in plain sight. They're actually crowing about it, how much money they made after the referendum. They're boasting about it in plain sight, just like Donald Trump. And you think, well, he's just told me he can't possibly be a crook trying to engineer the downfall of this country while profiting from it, because he's just said that. But that's exactly what's happening. A few very smart people with a lot of money, and apparently having a lot of money, as in hundreds of millions of pounds, isn't enough. They've got to have more hundreds of millions of pounds. And so they're spending a vast amount of money on trying to get us out in the most deleterious possible way, because they know that it will tank the pound and they'll make another 200-300 million quid. And then they'll be happy. for about 10 minutes. Balham, Slavek.
Hello?
Yes, sir. Press 1 if you wish to speak to a human being. Press 2 to be put on hold. Yes, Slavek.
Can you hear me now?
I can now, yeah.
Yeah, great. Listen, absolutely agree with everything, whatever you say just now.
What?
Like,
everything?
No, most of it anyway.
Slavek, can I just ask you, turn your radio down because it's scrambling your brain. You're hearing what you said 6 seconds ago and you won't be able to proceed.
Cool.
So go ahead.
All right, yeah.
Okay.
My radio is done now. What I want to say, it was like, listen, I'm a Polish immigrant. Coming in this country about 15, 20 years ago. Don't even remember. When I first time came here from Poland, which was at that very time the communist breakdown and things like that, it was corruption. All of this, absolutely horrible. When I came to this country, I was like, these people know what they're talking about. They are fantastic. Parliament and everything here, though, they got a grip on the hand.
Yeah.
They want the best.
It was better than where you come from. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
In that regard, yeah.
It was much better than where I came from.
I've got bad news for you, Slavek. That was an illusion. It was an illusion born from our reputation. But our reputation is completely false. This is one of the crookedest countries on earth. What we are, to a great extent, is a money laundering racket for the international criminal super rich. That's what the City of London does. That's what those shiny buildings full of accountants and lawyers and the bankers and all the rest of those financial finaglers. We wash more dodgy money clean than I think any other country on earth.
And that's what makes me sad. That's what makes me like really, because I was thinking, I'm like, okay, I came to the country, which no one wants me at the moment. It was like, yeah.
Well, that's not true. The ones that shout the loudest may make you think that, but that they are a minority.
Yeah, for that, yeah. But
Slavek, you've got to get yourself a better phone, because whatever it is you're using to me at the moment is just flat out annoying. But I wish you all the best. Thanks a lot, mate. 0345 6060 973. Gaz says, this country is in peril. I don't often say this. I agreed with Tony Blair, with Michael Heseltine, with John Major. I mostly agree with Jeremy Corbyn. Let's just have a temporary government run by Jeremy Corbyn, then have an election after extending Article 50 for crying out loud, says Gaz. What are we going to do with an extension? I mean, it's been 3 years and we can't agree on what colour paper to write it on, to write our begging request to the EU. I mean, if you were a member of the European Union, you'd just want rid of us, wouldn't you? Another extension. What for? What are we going to do with it? Like I said, the last time we asked for an extension, the very next second after they acquiesced to our demand, we said, thanks very much, we're going on holiday. And we did. Unbelievable. What on earth are we going to do with it? When will this just be over? I want to get it over with and then wait for the people who wanted it, who wanted us to leave the most. I'm curious as to who they're going to blame for their life not improving. Because all of that song and a dance that we've been sold about, sunny uplands and all of that game, it's vanishingly unlikely it's going to happen. It certainly won't happen immediately. It may not happen in the medium term, might happen in the long term. And you know what happens in the long term? We're all dead. Are you prepared to wait till you're dead for things to get better?
No.
I'll assume that the answer is no. But I'm just curious as to what people are going to do, who they're going to blame. Because at the moment, they blame the evil, unelected European overlords for whatever misery they're experiencing in their life. But who, after we leave the EU, then what? Then who are you going to blame? I'm just curious. I'd like to get to that part. 0345 6060 973. Let's have Leeds. Hello, Sean.
Hi, Nick. Thanks for setting the call. I've just thought I'd rang in because I've been listening all week. I've never called into a show before, so this is kind of the first time. And I just keep hearing so much this absolute negativity about, foreign people and how they seem to be such evil. And I think what I pick up from all, beyond the minutiae of detail of the laws that people seem to not to be able to talk about and give any idea, what their issue is with these things. Go above all of this, it just comes down to this kind of humanity, and I can't see why we as a people, you had the guy on before from Poland saying, I saw this, this bastion of a nation, and I wanted to come to it. Of course you would, if you were in the exact same situation where you wanted a better life for your family, for yourself. Then, of course, the opportunity is there to do so. And who are we to say that's not right? So again, going above this whole, detailed part of, because I don't profess for a second to understand all the issues of Brexit, what the ins and outs are. I was a Remainer. I've got European family. My wife's American. That's something completely aside. And you look at countries like America and like some other, European countries who are seeing a rise of the far right, and you look at these things and you think, well, we're going to go the same way. When I was growing up, we used to be, as far as I was aware, we used to be a nation of tolerance. We used to be somewhere people wanted to go. We had a diverse mix of people that we used to celebrate, and now that all seems to have crumbled.
Well, you see, no. What you're doing, Sean, is you're only paying attention to those that are shouting the loudest, who are a minority. I know they keep banging on about 52%, but it's not 52% of the country. It's 52% of the people that turned out to vote on that day. If it's 17.4 million people, then we got another, almost the best part of 50 million people who didn't vote out.
Of course. No, I think you're right. It is this, as you say, it's the voice that shouts aloud seems to be heard. I don't know. It's just a feeling I get at the moment across the board when you turn the news and when you listen to radio stations, when you listen to people call in. It just seems to be such anger across the board.
Well, see, again, what you're doing is you're listening to the people that are furiously angry, who are a tiny minority.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like you go down the high street and there's a bloke on the box who's screaming about Jesus. Now, you don't assume that everybody on your high street is also berserk about Jesus. It's just that bloke.
Yeah. No, I get that.
All right. Hey, listen, Sean, I've got to go because I'm past the break, but thanks for that. 0345. Cheer up, everybody. I mean, what could possibly go wrong? Oh, no, that's right. It already has. 0345 6060 973, Friday and Saturday night at 10. Nick Abbott, LBC.
Coming up, LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Tweet at LBC. Text 84850.
Come on, we're running late!
Will says, in the first half of last century, before we had an EU, there were two devastating wars between European countries. Since the EU came about, there has been, for the most part, peace. Yeah, I know people say that, but I think it's coincidence rather than one led to the other. But not that I really have anything to base that on, other than it's just a feeling. We're all about feelings now, baby. Sunita says, Pandora's box has been opened, Nick. We will never stop hearing about Brexit for the rest of our lives.
Oh, no.
Don't say it, Sunita. Peter says, trade talks will be better to do after we have left on WTO. It's the only situation that puts us on a level playing field. Because the EU will be far more affected by WTO exit than the UK, they will be more amenable to better trade talks. In other words, they need us more than we need them. No, they don't. It's something like 50% of our trade is with the European Union, of our trade. is with the EU. 50%. It's there or thereabouts. 5% of their trade is with us. About half of our trade is with the EU. 5% of their trade is with us. 50 is a bigger number than 5. Even I know that. We need them much more than they need us. But absolutely, both sides will suffer. God, they must be pulling their hair out over there. Jim says, those who say Remainers won't accept defeat are right. We are British, and we will never surrender. And Daz says, status quo. Have you not heard a Mr. Verhofstadt's dream of an EU empire? No Remainer had a clue what they voted for either. Oh, God. Well, what were you expecting from an EU empire, Daz? You expecting tanks in the streets? A coup? Selby. Hello, Sylvia.
Hello, Nick.
Sylvia.
Well, all I want to say is I'm happy.
Happy?
And I've always been happy.
We found one. HAPPY.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Since 3 years ago.
Yes.
Since Theresa May, absolute rubbish, and we got Boris Johnson in power.
Yeah.
And I want to say to Boris, stand by what the people want in this country.
Wait a minute.
We want out.
Mm-hmm.
And what I
We just want
to say
Brexit,
is,
in other words.
are you listening?
Who to?
Right. What I want to say is the people of this country, we want to rule ourselves.
Oh,
we don't want to be under the European Union.
Yeah, the evil European overlords. Yeah.
And what I want to say is we will prosper.
Yeah. Based on what? Have you come to that conclusion, Sylvia?
What I want to say is what we will prosper. It won't be hunky-dory, but we won't be under them. And I'm going to tell you, and this is what I believe in,
yes.
It will fall apart because we have got the gumption to stand by what we believe in.
It will fall apart. What are you talking about? You're talking about Europe?
I do feel sorry for them. And they do play a good part in this country, but we've got loads of them coming into this country, and how the hell can we maintain these people coming in this country?
Well, how about, Sylvia, that they give us more than they take?
I'm not saying anything. They do good jobs. But what I'm saying is they're coming in dinghies, they're coming in lorries. And I'm telling you, when I were brought up in the 50s and war, and we had to stay put with nothing in bare feet and going into rooms and what have you.
Which war? Hey, Sylvia, take a breath. Which war were we fighting in the 1950s?
I'm talking about 44.
Teds and Rockers?
World War.
Right. You're that old, are you?
There were no such things as food banks. We lived on bread and jam and bread.
I know, and you could leave your door open and no one would nick anything in the good old days.
Good night.
All right. Yeah, it's been an excellent night. I appreciate you asking.
Thank you.
Was she serious? Oh, because that balloon was pricked pretty easily. I don't know whether she was just trolling me or not. Were you? Perhaps. Now, I've taken that call before. If she was a troll, that was pretty sophisticated. In fact, it was almost as sophisticated as that fellow that called in Nigel Farage the other day.
I'm immensely grateful to you for everything you've done in British politics over the last few years. I used to be an ardent Remainer. I voted Remain. I believed in the European project. Mm-hmm. I believed that staying in the European Union was the best thing for us. And then something happened, and something monumental happened. It completely changed my opinion on the whole situation.
What was that monumental thing, Mark?
I was kicked in the head by a horse.
Right, very good. Okay, fine. Thank you.
That was absolutely priceless. It was almost as though Nigel Farage was in on the joke and they had scripted it together themselves. I know that can't possibly be true, but it was the timing was so good. And the genius of that caller was that he underlined that something monumental had happened, because he said something changed, and then just to make absolutely sure that Nigel was going to take the bait, he dangled the hook in the water again and underlined that it was a really epoch-making change that he had gone through, and then just left it hanging there, and giving Nigel Farage no option but to ask what that change had been. Absolutely excellent work. That's one of the funniest things I've ever seen. It's available on the internet, by the way. Oh, have you seen the internet?
Disgusting.
There's all sorts of things on there, and that's one of them. Priceless. And I shall be playing it frequently.
I'm a nutcase.
Now, what might happen between now and 10 o'clock this evening? Well, it just boggles my mind just thinking about it. If you could put your ear to my mind, this is what you would hear. Just thinking about it. But whatever it is, we'll chew it up and we'll spit it out then, eh? Meanwhile, if you stick around, I do think the star of a tea towel will keep you entertained and set you straight at 5. But right now, Matt Stadland.
Nick, I just wonder, I know I ask you whether you've heard this or that each week, but I do wonder whether you've heard.
Wonder away.
Have you heard, Nick, that we are not a united country?
Yes.
What do you propose we do about it?
Oh, I see. It's my fault.
I'm not saying it's your fault. I'm just wondering whether you have a solution.
Well, I don't like the implication of what you're saying. How is it my fault?
It's not your fault. I just wonder whether you can see a way round it.
I don't know how you can possibly blame me for this situation.
It's that sort of anger, Nick, that is part of the problem.
Traitor.
You are a fascist.
Well, that is true, yeah. That's spot on there, yeah.